Kumusta guys? Welcome back to Living Cozy Caravan.
Today we're taking you back to one of the biggest moments of our journey, and it was the first moment of the journey itself, the day we left Idaho on a 5-day trip to Texas.
This was it, yung araw na hinintay at pinaghandaan namin, our moving day. The day we officially left Idaho and started our 5-day drive to Texas. Exciting siya, medyo emotional, and honestly, overwhelming din. But we are ready for the road ahead. Okay, paano ko ba i-describe that morning bago kami umalis papuntang Texas? Sa totoo lang, it felt such a whirlwind of emotions for me. Ang dami kasing nangyari all at once. Last minute packing, checking kung na-load na ba lahat sa sasakyan, tsaka making sure na wala kaming makakalimutan. Kasi nga layo ng Idaho tapos Texas, diba? Tsaka hindi pa talaga siya nagsisink in sa akin until it's finally time to go. Sa dami na nangyari nung umaga na yun, hindi na nga ako masyadong kapag-take ng video. Kasi medyo nagmamadali na rin kami. Pero magpapakita ako ng mga konting snippets. Bye-bye! Say bye-bye! Ikaw ba, love? How are you feeling that morning?
Really excited, and definitely a little nervous. You know, there's a little small part that said, well, you know, maybe we don't actually have to leave. Maybe we can figure out how to do it here. But we did it anyway, and I'm so glad that we did. You know, there were 1,000 things that could have gone wrong, and none of them did. We're so blessed, and it worked out really well.
Yun, price? Where are we heading now?
We're in Big Timber, Montana.
This is our first campground.
Day one. It was snowing for some of the time while we were driving, and I had a couple of big concerns for the day, and they were passes. We actually skipped a couple of passes, so we took a bit of a back road to avoid some major passes. Those would have been the 4th of July Pass and Lookout Pass. Both have lots of traffic, and especially Lookout Pass. If you've ever driven on Interstate 90 from Montana to Idaho or Idaho to Montana, it's not fun in the winter. The good part is that we avoided the high elevation passes for a little while. The downside was we had a lot of just 2-lane traffic right next to a lot of oncoming trucks. It was an opportunity for me to discover how much the trailer gets pulled even by a pickup.
We did not regret that route.
No.
It was beautiful and we liked it. Our first stop was in Missoula. We stopped there to have lunch with
some relatives.
It was, I think, one of the advantages of, you know, traveling. Like you can just stop, have meals with your relatives that you don't see often. So.
Right. That was good. And my goal the whole day, thinking about it, was I want to get through the major mountains. Like I had a plan for how far I wanted to get, ideally, but then I thought, okay, well, if we don't make it that far, if something goes wrong, we can end here. Or if we don't make it that far, you know, we can stop here. Kind of depends on how well travel goes, but the big goal was get through the mountains, and the biggest one of that was the pass that you can't avoid on that route, and that is the Continental Divide. For those of you who don't know, the Continental Divide is a place basically it's more or less considered to be the center line of the Rockies, and it divides the watershed from, the water on this side flows into the Mississippi Basin, and then the water on this side flows into the Pacific Ocean. They're very tall mountains. Obviously the passes try to get low, and they get lower than the rest of it, but they're still difficult. We were going maybe about 30 miles an hour coming up the pass, maybe 25 to 30 miles an hour going down the pass on the other side.
It was the first time I heard about it, and I was amazed. Ang elevation ng Continental Divide doon ay 6393.
6393. Almost 6,400 feet above sea level. It was still fun. It was a little stressful, but honestly a little easier overall than I was expecting. Just took it slow, minimized any risk of losing control of the trailer. You come down the hill no faster than what you went up it. It's a good safety rule to follow. And we saw a lot on that first day.
The view was breathtaking. Pabago-bago yung view mo. Parang mountains, tapos magiging plains. Noong una pala snow muna, sa Idaho. Tapos may mga lake. Please!
Nathaniel, please no. It's something I want to say. There were a lot of things that were new to us on this trip. There was one thing that was not new to me. The Escalade, the SUV that we were driving, I had driven for a long time. I was pretty familiar with it. As it turns out, I was so familiar with it that I'd forgotten a couple things that I knew about it. The big one was when we were driving up the Continental Divide, it felt weak. If you've ever driven through the mountains, the car under load, it gets weaker. It has a hard time pulling as you get higher elevation, as you're pulling up a significant hill, and it just felt like it didn't have a lot of power. And then that night, I was thinking about it. I remembered that the car is rated to run on regular gasoline when driving under normal circumstances, but when you start towing things, it's rated to take the higher octane, the premium gasoline. So I put some of that in it afterward, and it drove a lot better. And if I were to make one change on our move coming out here, when driving through the Continental Divide, use the premium gasoline.
Nice tip from our driver, beloved driver. I was just a passenger princess.
Passenger queen.
I was useful too. I was the navigator and ration supplier.
Yeah.
I gave snacks. Especially this guy
Yes.
can't survive without snacks. Day 2.
We started out, I woke up on day 2, and I thought, we went through the Continental Divide. We made it through the worst of the mountains yesterday. The prettiest, but, the most difficult to drive through.
Yes.
And I thought, you know what? We're past it. That was the hard part. Now it's just easy driving. Turns out it was not just easy driving. There are more difficulties, and the difficulty we encountered at the beginning of this day was 70-mile-an-hour winds. We changed our route, and we did not go through the 70-mile-an-hour winds. Not a great place for a caravan. First plan was to go south from Wyoming, drive around the outside of Denver, and then head east from there. Instead, we stayed on Interstate 90 a little longer. We went through a corner of Wyoming and across South Dakota. And when we got to the east end of South Dakota, we were going to turn south, but we did not make it all that way on day 2.
So I'm amazed with the highway system of the United States. Very systematic, and I think kada few miles you have rest stop.
Sometimes it's every 40 miles, sometimes it's every 130.
So yeah, madami silang rest stops. There's one in Wyoming that we stopped because our driver needs to nap. It's kids friendly. They have a big playground there. Win-win, especially for our toddler. He doesn't need to rest when we're in the rest stop. He needs to move! Kung gustuhin mo mag-road trip, kahit na gaano pa kahaba yung biyahe nyo, talagang okay lang kasi ano naman, may mga rest stops, bus stops, and very organized ang kanilang highways.
So, when you're driving on Interstate 90, you will eventually notice that as you get closer to west side of South Dakota, and by closer I mean within like 1,000 miles, you will start to see signs. Signs saying things like, only 438 miles to Wall Drug. Get a 5-cent coffee at Wall Drug. There's no advertising that I've ever seen outside of these signs for this store. It's just something that you see when you're driving down the highway, and you see enough of them for hundreds of miles that eventually you decide, okay, we're gonna go see what Wall Drug is.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Those billboards and signs and like, what's this about? They've been in business for many years, 100 years?
I think it was around 100 years, yeah.
Since 1930 something. Then when we get there, I was kind of disappointed. It was just like a mall, a big mall, with all this like different businesses.
Big American West themed mall. It was a little unfortunate because we got there kind of at the end of the day. They were getting ready to close, so we didn't see it at its prime. It was kind of cool.
It's still cool, yeah.
After Wall Drug, we went maybe another 100 miles.
Stop for the night.
Stopped for the night. We found an RV park. We tried during the whole trip to get to an RV park before it got dark, and so I could do all the hookups and the light. It didn't really work the whole trip. I would get there. We would get to the RV park after dark, do the hookups, crash, go to bed, get up the next day, do it again.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun in the middle, but
we weren't able to really see the campground and explore. But still, we saw it in the morning. And
yeah,
pretty nice.
That was day 2.